the man decisively refused the beautiful woman's request. After all, the little one's claws were sharp. He was afraid that Mo Sheng hadn't taken good care of her, and in turn she had hurt not very well. Liushuang didn't have any words, just quietly observed backwards. Sure enough, Mo Sheng's face was gloomy and her eyes were terrifying, as if she wanted to break her into pieces. Outside the luxury office building in front of you, people walk leisurely with their backpacks. The subordinate came to him. Now that the heir's mission is over, it's time to return to the family to resume his duties. But what heavenly changes can be made by that bunch of old nobodies, and that uncle of his? There aren't many people in this world who can hide from him in front of his eyes. He was still lost in his own thoughts when his mobile phone suddenly rang sharply. It was actually Mo Sheng who asked with concern how she was doing recently and whether she had eaten your Liushuang. Moxon was in the middle of his annoyance, and became more and more irritated when he heard the other party's inquiry. Mo Sheng suddenly got serious for a second. Could it be that something had happened on his end? Mo Sheng had to stop hiding his heart, and a bold man took Liushuang away. He reminded Mo Sheng to keep an eye on the movements of the Wanqi family, especially Wanqi Qian, whom he had met before. Mo Sheng told him not to worry. It's the Mu family's stronghold over there. It's no problem to leave it to him. After explaining what made him suspicious, he hung up of his own accord. There was a lot of blood at the scene before, but he still hoped Liushuang was okay. The man in front of her touched her. How did the wound feel? Did it hurt? But she didn't want to hear about that. What the hell he was doing kidnapping her here for? Wanqi sighed sadly. So heartless girl, this is how you think of me. Liushuang, however, is a bit awkward. I'm so uncomfortable. This is not like the usual you at all. But he confessed to her. From the day I met you, I no longer look like myself. All she has to do is agree to marry him and he'll do everything in his power to keep her out of harm's way. Obviously Liushuang's focus is different from others. What do you mean you don't want to hurt me? But there was an urgent knocking at the door, so Wanqi Qian had to go to the door to deal with it. Wanqi Ling asked who that woman was and why she didn't know how to greet them when she saw them. Liushuang was very helpless, and also greeted them, did not scold the street even if she was civilized. Wanqi's warned them not to go in. The little one is a bit upset right now, but Sister Qingying has been waiting for you for a long time. Why are you so close to this woman? There hasn't been a child in the Wanqi family for a long time. Mom's anxious for her brother to get married so he can have children. They just love Mo Sheng, but why did he bring such a woman? Liushuang was also very puzzled as to what it meant that no child had been born for a long time. She looked to the door in sudden shock. Was there something wrong with the Wanqi's family? Wanqi no longer had any patience. After all, he was in charge of his own affairs. What right did she have to control him? Wanqi Ling suddenly became pathetic and hung her head after being chastised. She was also doing it for his own good. Mo Sheng explained that she hadn't seen him for a while and missed him, so she asked Ling to bring her here. Wanqi directly rejected her disguised confession that he had a favorite person. Don't bother him again. Liushuang eat melon eat up. This guy looks gentle and soft, talking quite ruthless. For a while the three of them were silent one after the other. Only Wanqi Ling was still sobbing in aggression. She suddenly breaks the peace. Is it the rude woman he likes? Wanqi Qian spoke out to stop her from saying any more. Look who's being rude now. I didn't think my brother would yell at her, or yell at her for that woman. Obviously not wanting to face them again, Wanqi simply slammed the door of his room in anger. He also locked the door to his house, ignoring his sister who was still breaking down and shouting outside the door. Mo Sheng did not hide her expression. She did not expect her favorite to be taken first. He apologized and walked towards Liushuang, explaining that his sister was a bit capricious, but she didn't care what people thought. What was the purpose of kidnapping her here? Wanqi Qian said he had already said that we are destined for 3 lifetimes. Of course he wants to marry you. But she had heard her sister's words, and with all that was going on, was she the key to the problem? He doesn't understand that he's so handsome, so gentle, so considerate. He's supposed to be a good choice for a mate. He approached her with an agenda from the start, and she wanted more than anything a simple, honest relationship. He also wanted to just be that fluttering gentleman, and didn't want to use such despicable tactics against her. But he shuddered and clenched his fists to show that he had no way, no choice. He was the eldest son of the Wanqi's family and had to shoulder his responsibilities, but also really liked her. He helplessly turned his back, but his remaining light was still watching Liushuang. If it continues to wear out, I'm afraid that even as the eldest son of Wanqi, I won't be able to protect her. It's true that Wanqikian has always been kind to me, and he's done me a lot of favors before. She sighed in sudden displeasure, but such things as feelings were not in her control. just as she liked Musin very much. At the same time, she respected each other's choices. She buried her head under the covers in annoyance, yet her heart had long been given to Musin. The man in front of him clenched his fists in annoyance and looked out of the window, constantly pondering something. He suddenly hammered on the floor-to-ceiling window. Yun Liushuang, where the hell are you? At this time, Yun Liushuang was not thinking about these things and soon entered dreamland. Suddenly her wrist was grabbed, and she slowly opened her eyes to softly call out to Mo Sheng. But her eyes snapped open because the man in front of her was not him. Surprisingly, it was the man who had brought her home, Wan Qian, only to see that the man had a tight grip on her wrist. Ignoring Yun Liushuang's fierce resistance, he slowly bent down to get closer to her. His gaze revealed a plea. "Frosty, please give me a child." The more she thought about it, the stranger the matter became. What the hell was he talking about, and why was he getting more and more outrageous? Apparently the man didn't want to explain any further and wanted to continue with the rest of the steps when he suddenly released her wrist. But Yun Liushuang's eyes widened, not expecting him to stop, only to see the man incomparably devastated. If he could be as reckless as Mo Sheng, how good it would be. Instead, she tugged on the covers to warn the man that Musin had never not messed around with her before. He slowly removed his hands and looked deeply at Yun Liushuang. Wan Qian pleadingly stretched out his hand. "Frost, can you give me a child?" She looked even more helpless. After all, how could he open his mouth with such an unreasonable request? It turns out that the Wani family is desperate, and all they need is the bloodline of the Silver Fox clan. Obviously she's no slouch either, and by desperate do you mean no newborns being born? But when she said it, silence awaited her. "Although I don't intend to give you children, you've got the wrong man for the job, because I can't have a baby at all." Apparently, Wan Qi's doesn't believe her. "But you're a celestial master who knows all about our Fox clan, so there's no need for me to lie to you. Auntie Ching, who has always treated me like her own daughter, left me a letter a long time ago. She said I was born with a curse, so I couldn't have children." Auntie Ching wouldn't lie to her. Even if she conceived a child, she would abort it or the child would be cursed too. But as a celestial master, Wan Yiqian knows all about their Fox clan. This can't be true. She had expected him not to believe it, but she hadn't realized that he didn't believe it at all. "The silver foxes have been punished. Your wrongful birth and the dying of the foxes. That's the punishment. So it's impossible to inflict punishment on your child." He doesn't have to lie to her. She suddenly had a bit of a headache, but she had been accompanied by Auntie Ching since she was a little girl. Auntie Ching, who guided her and taught her everything and protected her in every way. Why did she lie to her? When Wan Yiqian wanted to explain something, his mobile phone kept vibrating. "I didn't realize it was my own father who was about to die, and how the onset was so short this time around. My sister said she didn't know either, but the whole house was already in chaos." Cloudflare Frost wasn't thinking about herself as she inquired about what had happened to his father, but what he said shocked her beyond belief. In fact, he didn't want to save him because his father had killed his own mother. Until this moment, it was as if I saw Mo Sheng's shadow in him, but he's the child of the Wan Qi's family, Wan Qi's kin, and he has his own responsibilities to bear. Yun Liushuang blocked him. "You said you want the Silver Fox's bloodline. Is it to save your father?" Without any hesitation, Wan Qian admitted that it was indeed the father who saved this mother's murderer. "You mean, not only did you use me to have a child, but you also used an innocent child to save your father?" Liushuang sat up. "How could you?" It turned out that the wound was a bit painful because of what I just did. I have the ability to refuse and choose, but what choice does a child have? Why should he be born to be a sacrifice for your family? Wan Qian looked at me with a serious look and didn't say anything. Then he laughed, so I asked him what he was laughing at. He laughed and said, "Do you really believe that? You don't really think I'm going to sacrifice the baby or anything? Do you think I'm the kind of person who would do something like that?" Wan Qian stood up. "I am really sad. What do you mean You take me to play He sidestepped. "I did have to save my father, but I wasn't deranged enough to hurt our children. But it's nice to see you defending our kids so much." This made Driftfrost get embarrassed and react to the fact that something was wrong. Then a pillow flew towards the door. "Who promised you a baby?" Hiss. "The wound hurts again. Which of this guy's words are true?" He's standing alone outside the door. "Frosty, you really are a good girl. If I could be your child, it would be the happiest person in the world. That's why I don't want to hurt you. But the Wanky family has used their powers so much that no more heirs are born, and we need the Silver Fox bloodline to break the curse. That's the only way." "No! There's two ways. One was married to a silver fox and gave birth to an offspring with demonic blood. There's another way to take you as a silver fox and turn you into a potion." He scratched his head helplessly. "But how can this be? I would never." ever want to hurt you. Here at the Mujiaza Manor, the girl who was just at Wani's house came home. Mu Qingli came over and asked her where she had been so late in the evening, but his sister didn't want to talk to him. She just said hello to the second brother and was ready to leave. Have you just come back from Wan Kikian's place? You seem to have thought of it already. The girl turned her head. Second brother, don't mind so much. Mr. Wankel just came back to New York today, so what's wrong if I go to see it? Second brother was not happy about it. What's there to like about that hypocrite? And intentionally or unintentionally, he asked her if he had brought back anyone, such as a woman. How do you know? Second brother, it's just that a woman was brought back, and she seems to be injured. Really? Does that woman look like this? Mu Qingli immediately went forward and took out the photo. She looked at the photo taken out. It was of Liushuang. Yes, that's her. Does brother Tu know her too? Mu Qingli patted his sister's shoulder. It was really no effort to get there. Finally found this Liushuang. On the other side, here at the Wanqi house, the old man looked at the dying. There's a woman lying on the side of the bed, crying continuously, and Wanqi's is here with her sister. Father, if it wasn't for your insatiable character, you wouldn't have incurred such misfortune, and now you can only rely on sky-high prices for medicinal herbs and my talisman to renew your life. He's not worth sacrificing Frost to save. Wani Qian took out the talisman and chanted the incantation. The spells continued to dissipate in the air. With a shout and a wake-up call, the old man opened his eyes. The woman on the side was surprised to say, "Master, you finally woke up," and the old man breathed a sigh of relief. Stretching out a trembling finger, he pointed forward. He cursed Wan Chiqian. "Why didn't you listen to me and marry Mu Qingying? The Wanchek family has no queen. How can I face my ancestors?" He closed his eyes and responded, "I think, Father, you are the one who was ashamed to face the ancestors." The old man sat up in anger. "What did you say? Rebellious son, I chose a wife for you with both talent and appearance. What are you not satisfied with?" But Wanchikian didn't want to pay attention to him and turned around to leave. The Wanchek family has an ancestral tradition of not marrying again after being widowed. "I don't know how you, Father, do it." The old man was a bit anxious, but still didn't say a word. "And even if you marry Mu Qingying, you still can't have children." The younger sister said at this time, "Does brother really like that rude woman?" Wan Yiqian stopped his footsteps. This auntie asked her sister, "What kind of woman is my brother?" He turned his head sideways again. "I can make my own decisions about my own affairs, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm in charge of the Wanchi family now." The old man lay down and complained, and his wife panicked. "The old man will not live for a few days, and in the future will have to rely on this Wani Qian. But will he be a threat to me if he marries some woman from nowhere? This is the current Winchester family, dirty and despicable, full of rivalries and calculations. I just want to go back to her, the one who's clear as crystal." Liushuang slowly opened his eyes. "Right before my eyes, I saw Wani Qian here. What are you doing here?" He turned to look at me. "Why are you so nervous? I'm not going to eat you." "How dare you? Last night you asked me to give birth to your child. You kidnapped me here and I'm not allowed to be nervous." He leaned in. "If I did kidnap you, it would be to get you somewhere no one would know about and force you until you gave birth to our child. But I wasn't cruel enough." Frost asked him what he wanted to say. Wanchikian also stood up. "Your family Mo Sheng is coming. Ink brush. He's coming for me." Over here a helicopter flies. The gears keep turning, and below a man is waving his hand. Mu Qingli shouted this way. The helicopter stopped and Musin stepped down from it. Liushuang continued, "You said Mo Sheng is coming, so aren't you going to hide me somewhere else? Maybe subconsciously hoping someone would stop me." These words made Driftfrost feel a hint of surprise, and her heart was very conflicted. "Frost, do you know that I really want to take you away without your consent?" She looked away. "Of course I know, because I know you're a good person and you won't do anything to me." Moxon sighed. "I don't want any good guy cards. I'm not a good guy. Never have been. I'm like an idiot who went through all the trouble of capturing you, only to give you back without taking any advantage of it." So Lu Feng asked him, "Why did you suddenly decide to pass me?" Wani Qian had a gloomy face, remembering that group of people. "Because I don't think it's worth hurting you for those people. Besides, if I let you go, we can still be friends, right?" Lu Feng laughed. "That's not necessarily true. Last night you even tried to pounce on me. How can I forgive you so easily?" He sat on the edge of the bed. "So what can I do for you to forgive me?" Then Lu Feng said in a serious manner, "Then unless you find a man to pounce on you, we will be clear of each other." "Then what man should I look for?" "You're Mo Sheng." Yun Liushuang thought in his heart, "As if These two people hugged together. The eyes are getting misty and perverted. That's not so bad, but I'll let him do his job. Liushuang covered his face with joy, not knowing that Wan Qiqian will one day snatch you away from Mo Sheng's injury. The servant came in hurriedly. The entrance to the villa was surrounded by people, and the man at the head said that he wanted you to return the man, and said that if you didn't, don't blame him for it's Mo Sheng. But Wan Qian says it's not him. Didn't you say he was coming? Wan Yiqian held up his finger, but he wasn't the one blocking the doorway. And here at the gate, a bunch of people are here. It's Mu Qingli who's blocking the door here. This guy Inkbrush asked me to carry the thunder for him here. Where did he run away by himself? So Musin has come round this way. It's around here. I can sense Yun Liushuang. Musin leaps up and climbs up. When he looked inside the window, he froze for a moment. Inside, Wan Qiqian is holding Yun Liushuang without moving. Mo Sheng immediately became angry and had a gloomy face. Liushuang then asked Wan Qiqian, "You suddenly this is what to do. Is not already going to let me go? Do not move, as long as a moment." And he seemed to know that Mushing is watching. Musin looked at them both and didn't move a muscle, and Wan Yiqian put up his middle finger, pointing specifically at Mushing to see. "What's wrong? There seems to be a sound outside the window." "Nothing. It's your illusion." Mo Sheng gritted his teeth in anger. The people down there and so on found him too, and Musin looked on. "Dark too is here too. Tell the young master to be careful." Musin leaps forward and lands firmly on the ground, facing the crowd's siege. He didn't panic at all. His face is particularly calm. Watching Mo Sheng jump down, the guards immediately touched their guns and prepared to counterattack. But Mo Sheng is no vegetarian, and casually kicked, grabbing the guard's hand, ready to wrestle his gun away from him. But what was in his hand was not a gun. It was a jet. Dark too shouted for the young lord, thinking he would be in danger. But what the other guards were holding were jets. Lu Fang heard a noise. "There's a sound downstairs. Is Mo Sheng here?" I came to the window to find out what was going on. As a result, he saw Mo Sheng's appearance, holding back his laughter. Looking at the young master's appearance, Dark too didn't know what to do. "Aren't you mad at me for screwing Musin?" "No, I'm not. I'd love to screw Musin when I see how cold and superior he is. To be honest, until now I wanted to take you away from here, to a place where no one could find you." Wanchi's reached out and tried to touch her, but she blocked it. "We said we'd be friends. Don't make me hate you." Wan Qian looked at Yun Liushuang in silence. Moxon was furious and kicked the door open. With a serious face, he spoke to Wang Kenken, letting go of her, or else, with his hand in his pocket. Don't. Mo Sheng, don't worry. I'm fine." Liushuang hurriedly walked towards Mo Sheng, while Wan Qiqian on the side still said, "This person is so scary. You'd better come with me. What if he kills you one day?" Quicksilver hurriedly stops him. "You don't play at times like this." Mo Sheng instantly moved in front of Wan Qiqian, a punch to his waist. Then he took Liushuang's hand and left. But Liushuang said that he had hit him too hard, leaving Wan Qiqian alone. The two of them walk out the door. Mo Sheng patted her shoulder. "What's wrong? Where did you get hurt? How is the injury now?" "It's fine. It's been treated. It's fine if you move gently." Moxon sighed as he looked at the woman in front of him and then gently rubbed her head. "I'll be more careful next time." Lu Fang then smelled Mo Sheng's body. "The smell of pain on you is so strong." Mo Sheng also responded, "It's not because of you," holding Lu Fang ready to leave. "Aren't you a clean freak? Don't you need to take a shower here and change your clothes?" "Shut up. I'm going to take you out of here right now." Wan Yaqian crouched down. A smile escaped his lips. The servant said, "Young master, you don't have to smile if you don't want to. If you don't laugh, do you want to cry?" Mu Qingli watched the two walk over. Her mouth wanted to laugh but was held back. Mo Sheng slowly put down the flowing frost. A look of eyes to Mu Qingli. "You dare to laugh? You're dead." "I don't dare." Mu Qingli waved his hand. "I'll go and drive the car for you guys." Afterwards, they all left the Wanchi house. The two of them sat in the back. So Musin asked her, "Show me the wound." Lu Fang refused in embarrassment. "Ah, the wound is on the waist, it's better not to." "What are you afraid of? Your whole body is mine, and Drift Frost will say you're flirting." Mu Qing left the car to listen to the dialogue between the two. Mo Sheng pounced on her. "I do not need to flirt with you. Not flirting. That's hooliganism." As a result, the two disappeared from Mu Qingli's eyes. Mo Sheng looked at the wound on Liushuang's waist and asked her if it hurt. Drift Frost was shy and red. It didn't hurt too much anymore. Mo Sheng asked her when she was shot and how she felt. "I didn't really feel anything. I was stealthy and looking for a chance to sneak out, but I didn't think Simon would shoot indiscriminately." Mo Sheng immediately yelled, "I didn't expect." A sentence I didn't expect you almost put your life in. And she was scared backward. she'll just have to give in. Sorry to worry you. Am I so untrustworthy that you'd rather go yourself than inform my people? Liushuang immediately waved her hand. No, no, I'm just afraid that something might go wrong. Mo Sheng moved closer to her and spoke sternly. Listen, you and Liushuang, you are my person. Even you are not qualified to hurt yourself. She had to speak even when she was pinched in the face. You're obviously worried about me. How can you say things that are so unreasonable? I want you to promise me that you'll listen to me in everything and tell me before you do anything, so I won't be an answering machine, and don't talk so seriously now that you're like a color palette. Liushuang snickered, and Mo Sheng was helpless. Then the two of them made good, and Musin took off his coat. It's all because of you. Lu Fang covered his mouth. Okay, don't be angry. Actually, you're quite cute like this. You've always disobeyed me. Things go wrong when I'm not around and I have no way to punish you. My men can't keep an eye on you and it's useless to punish them. I'm angry at myself for being so powerless. This is the first time that Musin has spoken truthfully to me about his feelings. Isn't this a sign that he's starting to open up to me? She reached out and tried to touch the man in front of her. Mo Sheng turned his head and said with an expressionless face, in order to avoid any more incidents of this kind, I'm going to lock you up completely. Liushuang still wanted to ask him. He grabbed his head and pinched it. Lu Fang then slowly closed his eyes and passed out, collapsed into Musin's lap. Musin also said, it's for your own good. By the time Driftfrost woke up the next day, sleeping so comfortably, she lay alone in bed, looking off to the side again. There seemed to be someone there. Musin is standing here waiting for her to wake up. She sat up and realized that something seemed to be on her feet, a chain to tie his feet. When she opened the quilt, she found the chain attached to the other side. What was this for? Mo Sheng also noticed that Liushuang had woken up at this time and turned his head. Liushuang pointed to the chain on his feet. What kind of love game are you playing? Open it for me quickly. Musin leaned in and said, that's just a tool to make you more obedient. What do you mean? How long do I have to keep this on? Just keep it on so you don't go out of my sight, so you'll always be safe. Lu Fang was furious. You want to lock me up for the rest of my life? If you were, would you be happy to have someone to keep you on a leash like this? As a result, Mo Sheng said, I'm Mo Sheng. No one can restrict my freedom. She was trembling with anger, pointing at Mo Sheng. You even justified the double standard. You never put yourself in other people's shoes. Musin caught her hand, kissing this hand. So have you thought about me? You're so disobedient. You won't listen to anything I say. What can I do? You run away from me time and time again. Time and time again you're in danger. How long do you want me to worry? I don't want to lose you. Quicksilver listened to the words, thinking about it that way. I really never bothered to think about his moods because he seemed so dominant and so tough. But underneath it all, he's worried about me. Quicksilver then said, scratched his head somewhat awkwardly. It was my fault. As an admission of fault, you just locked me up. Musin was a bit at a loss for words. What was wrong with him? Just pinch her chin. What's the point of being so good all of a sudden? Are you trying to pull some kind of stunt again? I didn't. I guess my reputation is so bad that he doesn't believe me. Dodge Mo Sheng's hand. He apologized sincerely this time. Don't be ungrateful. This time I'll play the game of imprisonment with you. I promise I won't run away. And in my mind I can always turn into a fox and slip away. But Musin doesn't seem to believe her anymore. So guess if I still believe you or not. You're not happy. Don't smile so coldly all the time. It's so irritating. She was manipulating Moxon's mouth. A little more happy smile. That's better. There are very few things in this world that make me happy anymore. Since my mother. At this time, Liushuang understandably went forward and hugged Mo Sheng. Don't worry. Now. Listening to her, Musin asked about her. What would happen with you? Lu Fang smiled brightly. I'll make you smile. Oh, what are you going to do? Driftfrost leaned in close to him, and guess what? Then he grabbed Mo Sheng's armpit and cackled, but Moxon doesn't seem to be smiling. What are you doing? Instantly Driftfrost got frustrated inside. I want to make you laugh. Don't you have any tickling flesh? But since I was a kid, only people wanted to make me hurt. No one ever wanted to make me laugh. I don't have that kind of thing. What exactly did you go through when you were a child? Drifter asked him curiously, and then asked about the others. Speaking of which, how is Xianyuan Hang with Simon? Xianyuan Hang has disappeared. At that time, all the attention was focused on finding you. He took the opportunity to escape, but he lost almost all of his assets in the Xianyuan family, so he must not be able to play any tricks. And Simon, he walked across the bridge of sighs. Driftfrost was also shocked for a moment. It sounded worse than dead. The mobile phone is ringing. Ring, ring, ring. Mo Sheng picked up the phone. The other side of the phone said, Demon, long time no see. see. I heard you came to country. Mo Sheng immediately became stern. Are you spying on me? It's just news from Wanchikian. Come out for a drink. There's something I need to ask you. Mo Sheng still want to refuse. Was countered. But the master has explained us. The master brother and sister should support each other to help O. All he could do was sigh. And Quicksilver got curious. Master's brother. And he had a master's brother. I'll see you there. Finally, in an hour, the usual place. Lu Feng asked him, who called you? What's the matter? Mo Sheng didn't answer and got up, ready to leave the place. Wait, you'll just let me keep wearing this thing. He turned his head sideways and said indifferently to continue. Just slam the door. Lu Feng had no choice but to snort coldly. Just come and put it here. Inside sat a man with long red hair, and the others were bustling about talking, and the long red-haired man was unmoved, savoring his red wine. The girls on the side looked at the man. Wow, so handsome. They all blushed. Seems to have sensed something. Musson walked over and called out the man's name. Charles. He smiled and responded. You're finally here, elder brother.